So we're on day 3 of off-season, and this is with Steve McPherson, who beachcombs through Kent's coast, and he's grew up near Margate, and he does these kind of museum pieces, making the objects that he's found into art and then displaying them in this very kind of archival archaeologist collector kind of environment. I really liked his work and had an amazing talk, and this was around the studio where he had everything organised so clearly, from even letting me have a go on his rubber stamps he had actually made with collected objects, and it was just such a wonderful find. That is the stamps that I was talking about, and this is his work in his studio. I would definitely say look him up. What a wonderful treat to find. Moving on to Smith and Son, this place was wonderful. It was a queer space that has a queer library and had this wonderful video that I just paused on for a moment, which I really thoroughly enjoyed. And the film was called Return to Water by Kate Mallion and C. Malieka Naoma. I hope I've said the names right. And it just was very, very calming. To this next piece, which was by Charlie Piper, and I love the whole idea of, again, facing current politics at the moment in such a great way, with queer identity as well involved. And finally, with the window piece that got me into actually have a look to begin with, by Zoe de Calou, which the title was Another. These were all really great pieces. And then moving on to Across the Road by Abigail Simpson. This piece was called All About My Mother, and a great identity piece, which really made me ponder on the idea of femininity and the traditions with a woman and their roles that would have been considered when growing up, and with these dolly wash pegs down to the actual wash peg being done as a person, down to razor blades, which you would have saw at the beginning, to this incredible giant stacked piece sets of razor blades that I'm just talking about, and then a kind of incredible giant stacked piece as well, which was taller than myself. And it was just a really interesting exhibition to actually look at and ponder, and you can see me just playing with the scale, trying to show you how I look against it, aka tiny when I'm 5'11". That's a little bit about the show and just showing you around. So it's been some extraordinary artists this year out of season. It's been so hard to select, and on the way back I then passed Victoria House and was fortunate enough to stumble across the works of Kerbel Mandifo and Ruby Reed, with their portraitures, which was a duo painting exhibition by both of them and presented in a window display at Victoria House, which was just really, really beautiful pieces. This one in particular, I just really loved it. Look in the eyes. Why the final one I'm about to show you in a moment here is just, for me, just made me really just go thinking about what these people were thinking. And this particular piece, the one that I was just about to mention, made me go, wow, I just would even have loved to have like modeled for that person, because of the way they've captured the paint and the person, and I just really enjoyed stumbling past that accidentally. And talking about stumbling past, I want to give out a shout out to number 32, lovely store where I managed to get a new coat, because being down here all the time is very, very cold sometimes. And then we move on to the Feast of Falls, the next show that I just want to quickly talk about. This first piece by David Price, and then moving on to the next one, which was by Julie Sumner. Both of them are completely different, but both of their energies really just draw me in for different reasons. So just looking at this kind of layered, powdery, dreamy effect and build up on the canvas, where the other one was quite paint heavily, and yet both really just stood out to me, and I really enjoyed seeing their work. And then we are going on to this piece called Bon Appetit by Zoe Decole, and then Claire Orme Into a Mouth of Hell. And then I stopped by Pumice, which looks like a wonderful wine bar that I do want to try afterwards at some point. And this had some beautiful, beautiful pieces, which I was happy to say I went across to see. It's very dreamy, very romantic. And the artist in question is Esme Keenlyside, who's also a fellow Tier student as well, who I originally came across their work with. And so glad I did, because I've been a fan of watching it ever since, and can't wait to see how their work goes in the future. Moving on to the next space, where I was captivated by these circles walking up, and I found out afterwards that they were actually based on Personal Space by Kiara Williams. There was a shared space on the show called Winter Break Me with Cecilia Bonilla and Gemma Brown, where this video was filmed and also tied in with the space where we were walking around, where the art became part of the actual space you walk around. It was a beautiful show, very peaceful, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and what a lovely surprise visit with great views to see of Margate as well from. And then I went into the Old Kent Market, where I came across this show, which I really ended up liking for the concept behind it. It's not the normal work I would select and pick, and I'm glad I took a moment to have a look, because the whole idea of these men being portrayed and the idea of mental health for men, and that's just me having a look there. And it was done in this kind of male salon style, and the show was called as the title you can see there if you just have a quick pause. And it was just in this beautiful space as well, and the artist's name was Boz. And then I went to Fort Road Hotel, which did the most amazing oat milk hot chocolate, and I got to see the Crunchy Bar by Guy Oliver, which was a video installation interviewing the journalist Joe Stone, who appeared as a contestant on the reality show Shipwrecked in 2007, which really took me back, and I really thoroughly enjoyed watching it and watched the whole video. Going down to the last video with Sooniverse, which I love anything to do with astronomy and astrology, and that was by Alex Foster illustration, who I would highly recommend you having a look at. Had a fun story behind the piece. And this was a group show called Rooms, which was in a traditional pub that's undergoing renovation, and was a beautiful collaboration. This was by one artist named Ola and the other one named Yila Zaveta, and both of them I believe are also Tier students as well, so definitely have a look at them as well. Moving on to one of my finals, Gay Audacity, and this one was a really great show. I'm going to pause and let you listen to the video.
Now I can't believe I ever doubted it. Right before the heaviness in me suddenly became unbearable, I felt the world pushing down on my chest, slowly, endlessly, and I couldn't catch my breath anymore. And noise, everywhere noise, people telling me...
So there you hear a queer journey and a coming out story, it felt like, with this ghost being played with disco lights, and I really loved that. And then we're on to Ted Rogers as well. The previous piece was Sophie Linus, also known as Babyface Ladyface on Instagram as well, and that piece was Ted Rogers, who I just love the bravery of dancing in public. And now we're on to this piece of why you would wait for a time to get a cake, made with these seashells, obviously unedible, with divorce papers. It really made me ponder and think, and that was another striking piece as well by Danielle St James. And now we're on to Tracy Emin, who done a photography piece for this show as well, which was really exciting to see as well. And then we finally wrap up with this particular art becoming Joey Stefano by Lenny. The Gay Audacity show was really striking, and then just as a queer person myself, a lot of pieces really struck home, and I wish the show was on for longer because I definitely would have went back to visit it again. And then I just will end on these lovely flags how I started off season, and thank you so much for watching the last 3 days with me. Feel free to drop your comments, share your highlights and share this, and I'm just so proud of the Margate Art scene.